if you're old enough to remember, I don't have to tell you the details. I just point out 94, the Patrick Ewing game. When the Knicks came from 3-2 down to win that series at Game 7, it was Ewing's greatest moment as a New York Knick. A year later, the Reggie Miller game. One of the most famous sequences in basketball history. Is that overstating it? Reggie Miller, unreal in those final 20 seconds. Larry Brown, the celebration 4 years later. 99 Eastern Conference Finals. The Larry Johnson 4-point play. These are series that are remembered by one moment, one name. Look at the crowd when LJ hits a 4-point play. And then much more recently, 2013, Roy Hibbert stuffing Carmelo Anthony. The Pacers would eliminate the Knicks in 6. It's one of the truly great rivalries in NBA history. I thought it was, Mike Lupica wrote in the paper yesterday, people in New York always think back to those days as being about the Knicks against Jordan. The truth is, it's Indiana. They played a whole lot more. You were in the league during that time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was an extraordinary rivalry that gets renewed tonight.
And 94, that series will always be indelibly etched in my mind, in part because Derek Harper was a teammate of mine in Dallas.
Yeah.
We made that trade to Dallas for Tony Campbell, and Derek Harper got an opportunity to go to the finals. And so I was watching that in the league, but as a fan of Derek Harper, I was rooting for the Knicks to win that series.
That was the Spike Lee, Reggie Miller choke. That was 94. Again, if you're our age, my age
Reggie.
anyway, then these are the recollections that you have of this rivalry. And so a new chapter begins tonight, and it begins with a new superstar in the middle of it. If it's not Patrick Ewing and it's not Reggie Miller, it is now Jalen Brunson. What does he need to be for the Knicks to win this series?
Well, I think he needs to be durable because he's going against Aaron Naismith, who actually is a taller, bigger defender who actually does a really good job defending him. And I think the biggest challenge for the Knicks this evening, especially Jalen, I think you might see Josh Hart, some other people bring the ball up to kind of relieve the load on him. But Rick Carlisle is one of the best at a lot of in-game adjustments on how they guard ball screens. Will it be, will they hedge? Will they go over? Will they go under? Will it be drop coverage? I think you're going to see a mix of different coverages that Jalen's going to have to really do on the fly.
What are we expecting from the Pacers against you? This is Windy's series, for those of you, by the way, who are wondering why we are graced with Windy's presence this week. He's here in New York. He's covering this series day in, day out for us. What do we expect from them against Brunson?
So Brunson Halliburton is an incredible matchup of young guards in the league. They play totally differently. Nobody dribbles in the NBA literally more than Jalen Brunson. Nobody throws the ball more feet up the court than Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers want to play fast. The Knicks want to play slow. Old school, though, rationality here. No rebounds, no rings. The Pacers are not a great rebounding team. The Knicks are a great offensive rebounding team. You can't run. You can't throw three-quarter length passes unless you get the rebound. So watch tonight who controls the rebounding. That may lead to who wins this series.
Massive factor, and to his point, what that means for the Pacers is you've got to collectively get 5 guys in the paint to help on the glass. Well, when you have 5 guys below the foul line on your defensive end, there's less guys running the floor. It's harder to throw advanced passes. I've been in situations on the court where it took all hands on deck to protect the glass. That means you're not up the floor quickly. It's going to be a massive factor in this series because Indiana has to play through the air more than off the dribble because the Knicks will get into them and pressure them. It's definitely imposing style of play on the other. Whoever can win that is going to have a great chance to win the series. Brunson's going to get his numbers. It just depends on how many shots do the Pacers force him to take to get those numbers. He's got to be less efficient on a nightly basis for the Pacers to have a chance.
I think the Knicks have to be really physical, and also a matchup that nobody's going to talk about. If Halliburton is guarding Josh Hart gets like 3 to 4 offensive rebounds a game. So if Josh Hart, you're going to see him crashing the boards to Windy's point, that's where they're going to have a major advantage if Halliburton tries to leak out.
Let's talk about Brunson, though, for a minute here because he has, I mentioned earlier.
He's averaging 36 points on 49% shooting against Pacers, right? You know those kind of points Jalen Brunson is putting up against Pacers. That's how talented Jalen Brunson is.
You expect that. You expect that in this series. Will he be brilliant? Look at his last 4 games. 36 points on 49% shooting would be an enormous disappointment for Knicks fans based upon what Jalen Brunson did in the previous series, where he put up numbers that had us making comparisons to Michael Jordan and Oscar Robertson. Will we see that Jalen Brunson over the course of this next week?
I think you're going to have to. I mean, I think their style, not saying it's exactly the same, but it does remind me a little bit of the Allen Iverson 76er style, where a lot of the offense is centered around him because he's one of the few guys that can create off the dribble. So he's going to get his touches.
One other guy we got to mention is Pascal Siakam. He has to have a huge series, and they brought him in here for moments like this, right? Because he's got a game. You don't have to run stuff forward. He could go get his points be effective. He can draw fouls. He can win matchups because he's 6'10" with a herky-jerky style that can attack smaller players. Pascal Siakam cannot be quiet, for a half in any of these games. He was sensational the first 2 games of the first round, and then he sort of got quieter as the series went on. He's got to be loud almost every night in this series. We've got to be talking about him.
Pascal Siakam is going to be probably guarded by OG Anunoby.
Yep.
They won a championship in Toronto together. They were teammates a few months ago. Fascinating matchup there for sure. The other thing, Indiana has great depth way down the bench that they go. Even without Ben Mathurin, one of the best bench players in the league, is out for the series. I also want to point out the Knicks are going to only basically got 7 guys right now. Tibbs is going to play all these guys 43, 44 minutes. They need Brunson to play slow.
I think they're fortunate that they got the long break from Thursday to Monday. Was when I first saw that, I thought, are they going to turn that thing around and start game 1 on Saturday night? They put Timberwolves Nuggets on Saturday. We were guaranteed a game. So Timberwolves Nuggets goes to Saturday night, and I think it helped the Knicks a lot, considering all the minutes they played in that Sixers series, to get 4 days rest.
Look, this game's going to be 1.5 court, and you talk about style, slowing it down, beating them up on the glass, and being extremely physical with a team that likes to get out and run.